Right, okay, so week one reflection. So a reflection on week one. So the way week one went, we first got introduced, to the new crowd, the year ones. We got introduced, we're like, bam, doom. The year ones are there. Aye, sweet, the year ones are there. And then blah, blah, blah. And then we did like a scavenger hunt and stuff like that. But then onto the proper week. Ooh. So onto the proper week. What happened was, if I remember on top of my head, we were supposed to have a monologue memorized for a self-tape challenge that Leanne gave us. So I did the monologue measure. It was from Measure by Measure in, I think, I can't remember the action scene actually, but my character was Claudio, and homie just got sentenced to death, and he's talking to his. No, he got sentenced to death, and at first he was given like a tough guy act, but in front of his sister, he's showing a more vulnerable side, which is what I am performing in the piece. So it's a self-tape of me, in a way, proclaiming how I feel about being sentenced to death. Now, the way it goes is, I know my sister is in the room, but I'm not exactly talking to my sister. At least that's the way I'm acting it, as some people do act it quite differently. So that's the way I was acting it, and it took a couple tries. There were quite a few bloopers of the monologue, but hey, that's how we learn. That's how we learn. And when the self-tape happened, it was like, oh, I think I did quite well, And I did do quite well, my vocals were on point, the lighting looked outstanding, you feel me? Lighting, outstanding, as well as the angle. I thought the angle was just great. It just looks incredible. Plus the t-shirt I was wearing with it, that was amazing. However, things to do better. Showing emotion. Now, me personally, when I portray emotion, I am quite emotionless, if that makes sense. I'm quite still. That's what I'm quite, to be honest. And I guess the teachers didn't really see where I was coming from, because when I was just in the monologue, like so, I showed no emotion. I didn't even blink. That's how emotionless I was. And the teachers caught on to that, and they said, all right, try and show a little bit more emotion. So I'm like, okay. So things to improve on. Show more emotion in the self-tapes. I eventually did another self-tape afterwards where I showed more emotion, but the lighting wasn't as good. So, yay. However, that's all right, That's what we learn, with the self-tapes. And yeah, and now I need to do another self-tape. No, and now I need to focus on another monologue. And I'm pretty sure my next monologue I'm going to be researching is a question about sex. It's from that. And I believe it's about a story of, I can't remember. It was like a man, I can't remember his name, and an uncle, where the uncle would promise the man a large sum if his son was a man. It's quite a long story, but something I found quite interesting, and my next monologue is from that, and I've never performed anything like that before, because by Measure is from Shakespeare. I can't remember where this story's from, but I remember it's from an author I've actually never heard of. Oh, I think it's from Bennett something. Oh, Arnold Bennett. That's it. Arnold Bennett. That's it. It's from Arnold Bennett. Now I remember. But yeah, that's it.